was a huge bait pick for the Snake to take up. Maybe something like the Xayah, but however, they are the ones getting rid of this Rakan, so I'm not too sure if they will commit to that. But something like the Xayah, we've seen it do wonders when given to, I believe it's the ADC of Arya Assume, because you are able to play that weak side towards the bottom side, and it's not easy to be engaged on, which is exactly what JDG wants to look for as they lock in the Meiko this time around.
Yep, take it and they give Ruler back the Aphelios again, so might just be EDG doing the handshake with the Jinx. With the Lulu this time as a question mark. Let's just see if they prefer engage, as this would be a nice little hit, especially since you're going up against Night Kitty, running Syndra into him, taking Cassante again for Arla. This feels like the way EDG get in their heads.
I like how JDG, they rarely pick up this Neeko champion, but when given the chance to, he's more than happy to pick it in and lock it in. But the problem is we've seen Knight play this Neeko. I believe it was the series once again up against Weibo, and Xiaohu played this exact matchup, and it really denied a lot of those angles for Knight to look for in those team fights because of that scatter of the week. So JDG, they need to play a little bit more clever with how they approach these team fights, but of course supports are still up and available, and I wouldn't be surprised if JDG continue the trend and start banning out bottom laners and also the supports.
Getting rid of one of them. Lucian starts here for JDG. Just kind of thinking for the Snake, I mean, is it worth banning away his Jinx from game number 1, putting him on something a little bit different here? Because I'm already worried, regardless, that you are versing an Ornn. 369's Ornn last game, team fighting god. As Lulu's also banned away, so I guess you're putting them into a similar position. Run Jinx with an engage, and the Snake doesn't get protection. We essentially put him in a similar position, but even worse this time, Kitty, as Knight on the Neeko is also a big threat.
Yeah, we do have a lot of jungles getting narrowed down by the side of EDG. Something like the Maokai is still available, however that is going to be triple AP towards the top side, so that's not the most ideal. So they need to get a little bit creative with what Kanavi wants to play. Something that Kha'Zix is still up and available if he does want to play and make up for that lack of damage, where you already have so much great CC provided by the Neeko and through the Ornn. But that might be a rel. However, I won't say too much just quite yet, but it will be really exciting if that gets locked in.
Yeah, let's wait and see. Let the timer run out, because again, rel without Samira hasn't really been done in the LPL. As we're looking at the Kha'Zix, more importantly, Kanavi's jungle choice with a lot taken away. They banned Nocturne from EDG's side to make sure that this guy couldn't help bazooka, sniper, submarine his way in. But instead, he's going to be the little bug man and leave last pick for support for JDG. While EDG again, look at this same angle. It makes a lot of sense. The Snake on the same pick again. That Jinx seems to be the way to go. But it's just about the question here, Kitty. What does Meiko pick up this game?
It's like a game of chicken right now, because JDG, they want Meiko to pick that Nautilus, but Braum is still up and available, which is going to be a terrible matchup if he decides to blind the Nautilus. So it is going to get hovered, potentially denied by EDG, but that also allows JDG to play something like the Enchanter. But we'll have to wait and see what Missing has up his sleeve. We do have Lulu and Yuumi both banned out for this early game. I'm thinking, because there's no other meta enchanters we have right now, maybe something like the Renata, exactly like that, could work. Okay. Wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah, Renata makes a lot of sense, as you were saying. That, or, you know, I'm trying to think about the rest of the list. What else is a support? Morgana, dude, there's one guy.
Morgana. Get rid of that.
There's one guy in Europe that would literally have an aneurysm if Morgana's locked in. He knows who he is. This time it's okay. He can keep his wits about him. It's Renata instead. Oh man, how bad would you be?
Well, I guess Morgana could work, because you have Vi, who has that single target CC with that season of disease. So I can see what that EU person was trying to cook in terms of the draft, but it is going to be the Renata and Aphelios for the side of JDG. This time around, the setup for this game 2 is going to be a lot more harder, as you only have Ornn and Neeko to work off. And we've seen when you do utilize that spacing, I want the Snake to take something like the Ghost, where he is able to use that Gale Force and create that distance between him and the carries, where he is able to play off those resets and start kiting, similar to what Ruler was doing up against FoFo in that game 1.
I mean, especially playing with Braum. Feels so nice to be able to kite in and out of the fight with Braum playing around you too. I'm curious though, Kitty, because this game for EDG, We have some similarities. We have a bit of range this time coming to FoFo, but we still have the Vi. We've got ourselves the pick of the litter with Ala's Cassante. The Snake on something similar. I mean, the same pick, excuse me. Is it going to be enough against JDG? Because even though drafts changed a little bit, JDG last time around, it was denying bot. It was getting tempo from there and just taking over the map. They can do the same here in this game, and 369 on the Ornn can start joining in from the mid-game onwards like he did last time. JDG are our MSI champions. They're 3-1. With a win here, they'd move up to second, and they'd be just under BLG, exactly where you'd expect them. But EDG, as they debut the Snake here, with their big news of Uzi sitting on the bench and potentially playing for IG on the 14th, we want to see what they can do with this new prospective lineup. Big day for EDG, but so far, game one was not a big one for them. It's dance battle again. Okay.
I think Cassante wins that. He just has better dance moves.
Is Cassante doing the haka? Is it the New Zealand haka? No.
I'm not too sure about that, as we have some emotes getting exchanged in the top side.
He'd be doing the kamate, ha. I can't do it. I don't know if that was... I apologize if that was offensive to anyone. But I feel like that is as close to the New Zealand haka as I know. So anyone out there who's a New Zealander can help me out. At the very least, yeah, we got some battle up top lane once again between Arla and 369. But more importantly, Kitty, this time we have FoFo in a favorable matchup. Yeah, you do. Of course you do, to start us off. FoFo this time with range, Kitty, and I'm curious to see how this matchup goes.
Yeah, EDG coming into this game with a very clear idea. Outranging the Meiko is the way to go when it comes to outplaying this champion, but the vision has to be perfect, set up by the side of EDG, because JDG, once you give them a flank angle, they're more than happy to take that. But my eyes, once again, is about this jungle matchup that we have, Vi vs Kha'Zix, where the Kha'Zix, he wants to be kind of chilling, full clearing until he gets that item spike, perhaps the Yomos or the Duskblade. We've seen both from BLG Xun. Also, Umbral Glaive is a very viable option where you do get that early game vision control. But on the side of EDG, I mean, you can look for those early game kind of ganks towards the bottom side. You have great setup. However, there's no guaranteed CC, and both of these bottom lanes are more than happy to scale. But I feel like EDG, they have what it takes to kind of force those early game skirmishes with this Vi.
Yeah, and again, playing with the strong mid-jungle 2v2 is going to be fun to watch. I think EDG, FoFo, and Jiejie, once they hit 6, the kill threat on Knight can definitely come through. So it might be about watching Kanavi and how he can counteract this, as he is spotted on his red side. Red ward actually placed down here by Jiejie. So nice little information game gained. As why are we zooming in? As Ruler, what's he doing? Is he in color sync? Is that the reason? No, it's because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little bit dumb, and there is a bit of a freeze here, as the wave is just in a great spot for JDG right now. Well done, as the Snake even taking an unfavorable trade thanks to missing, just whacking away with the handshake.
Yep, Colorcaster finds out wave freezing, colorized 2023 as Hysterics discovers that in the bottom side. But of course, the wave is going to slowly slow push towards the side of EDG, as we have Kanavi resetting from that top side, making his way towards his bottom side. But I feel like in JDG's position, they're more than happy to just counter and negate all engaged angles for this Vi, as we saw him kind of struggling to find those angles in that game one. So hopefully that's not going to be a continuing trend, because I feel like EDG, if you work up the Syndra and you work up how she's able to get picks, that's going to be the way to go.
Yeah, well, look, again, we know that Syndra's so great with pick potential. I need to pause, though, because Jiejie going to be found out by Kanavi. Knight was walking down as well. Meanwhile, hang on a minute. Tank battle continues. 369 might have to flash this if he gets knocked back, but is he stronger now that the hook's not there, or rather the knockback thereof?
It's a cloth armor.
Is a real threat. You're right. You got advantage thanks to Ornn. I love this matchup. I have to say, Ornn is literally the sickest man. One day when I'm a father, I want to be as cool as Ornn. I want my kids to think, you know what, Dad? You're chunky. You've got a six-pack. You've got a sick hammer. You can go to the blacksmith. You know, make all the kids some cool swords. Maybe I shouldn't give that to children. But that's what I want in life. That's who I want to be. I want to be Ornn. Look at him.
All right. Hysterics, I have a question for you. So, why do you know that Ornn has a six-pack,
As if you can't see. Look, that man, he is chunky yet refined. All right? He's not the ton, he is the Chad. I mean, yeah, K'Sante obviously shows it off, but it is the humblest man who holds a six-pack. And Ornn is a humble man. Look at him. There is no way that man is not hitting the gym. How does he hold that hammer?
I mean, there's a lot of ways to hold a hammer. I'm sure I can hold a hammer, but we'll have to wait and see because this wave's slowly pushing into the side of JDG. That does allow for some time for Meiko to set up those wards towards the bottom side, which does narrow down the angles that Knight can approach to look for those dives towards the bottom side. But we need to wait for those level 6s to come online, specifically for Jiejie, because we see them kind of just having a very slow early game so far as Knight. He is level 6 now.
He is indeed. Okay, Knight with the one-shot potential as well. If he has a bit of jungle help, we can say the same about FoFo, who's just hit 6. So, volatile mid lane now erupts. Bot has been a little bit more calmer since last game, but I think we need to talk a little bit about the vision line, Kitty, because bot side, look at this. JDG just set up a line of scrimmage here in the bottom side all the way to the brush near mid, excuse me. EDG haven't walked over one yet, but Jiejie on the right side of the map. However, JDG with a push in bot have just started this off. And there's nothing that EDG can do about it, whether they have vision or not. Which they do, by the way, in the back of Dragon Pit.
A singular ward is exactly what EDG have, but here's the problem with blinding this Braum pick. You allow for just such a safe and slow early game that allows something like the Renata to get to that level 6 point, and at the very end, I mean, most people do prefer the Enchanter over Braum because you're able to provide so much more, like those, what is it called? The bailout for Ruler.
Yeah. Well done. Yeah, the bailout can be a pain to deal with. I have to say, you know, it's been a while since we've seen Renata, so it's completely forgiving. As hostile takeover is something I'm going to have to remember in the back of my mind. But Kitty, this game, we just mentioned, you know, Braum, pain to deal with for someone like the Renata as well. So I will say that Meiko has a pretty good opportunity to stop that in its track by missing. But we're just going to have to see how it goes. Kanavi spotted an award on the bottom side. Guys, I know it's slow, but it feels very tactical to start it off. And Kitty, I guess this is where you come in. If we're going at a slow pace like this, who does it favor?
I wouldn't be surprised if Kanavi does get that slight edge as you are safely getting those items online. It's very slow paced like we keep saying, but I would much rather be the Kazakhs in this position, as you also have someone like the Ornn and Aphelios to work off if you do get to that stage where you get the ornaments online. But something that I am expecting JDG to do is once that Rift Herald is available on the map, we could potentially see something similar out of this Rift Herald for Ruler, where he gets that 5 plates into his pockets once again. You already have Kanavi resetting as they are getting that bottom wave pushed in, but Jiejie, he's already towards that top side.
Right, to minion. Yeah, I gotta count it. Jiejie's here for a gank. He's got flash. They're like, oh, he's not here. Jiejie, don't be fooled. As Knight comes out of hiding, FoFo dodges away from that tangle barbs. Not gonna pull the trigger. Instead, Jiejie's going towards the top side. As the snake actually might find missing here. Flash away. Good flash timing. Meiko pops the ulti down just in case Pop Blossom is there. Knight has found the invade. Jiejie instead also burns the flash, but he's punished hard.
Yeah, 369 having first move, using that ultimate onto Jiejie, catching him off guard. I'm not too sure where he used that flash. It had to be from an initial Nico route or something where they knew that this Vi no longer had her dashes to get away. I don't think this is going to result in a solo kill, Hysterics. We've seen this magic too many times. But it is, once again, the Rift Herald going towards JDG.
Look, at least a massive win for JDG. You have to say the early game again, looking real good. 1k gold lead. On top of that, Herald that's going to be placed down to give a myriad of gold back over to this team as Kanavi just jumping in to call the chicken. Jiejie went for red here. And
he went over the red.
He used his Q, so he had to flash.
Ah, I see. Lord. Okay, so it wasn't a Nico E that was forcing the flash out of Jiejie. He's just venting in and he had no way out, so he had to burn it. But that's just kind of disrespecting your boundaries with how EDG was having in terms of lane priority when it comes to the top and mid lane, as 369 being there first and getting that kill into Knight's pockets. No Dark Seal just quite yet, so we can calm down for now.
We can. Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends what team the audience are going for. I wouldn't calm down if you're an EDG fan. It does feel like this early game, as Kitty was saying, is going so well. as that is not the real Slim Shady. He's just pretending to be here. Knight, obviously, probably not going to be a Karzik sitting mid holding the wave. That close out, or rather that far out from the turret. As he then reveals himself, he's got a kill. No Dark Seal, as we were just saying, as Kanavi, once again, just taking away everything. He's got a bit of a CS lead because he keeps getting on top of these scuttles. He hasn't really lost many jungle camps right now either, so you'd feel pretty good as a Kanavi fan, as he's one of the cleanest Karziks so far.
Yeah, but someone that hasn't been as clean is Jiejie in the series. I'm getting a little bit worried for this Vi. 2 games in a row, but this time around, you're up against a Nico and Renata. Great disengage when it comes to those team fights. And if you're going to make an overforced play with the Vi, then it's always going to result in picks just going over to the enemy team. So EDG, they need to kind of weigh their values and take these fights very cleverly. I want to see more synergy out of FoFo and Jiejie. That's definitely something we've been missing in these team fights, where you see it from JDG, Kanavi, and Knight. Even from that first blood, you have Knight kind of working towards Kanavi and protecting his own jungle.
Hang on, I just lumped off. I love it so much. It's so much fun. Like, old tank matchup, Sion versus, I'm trying to think, Sion Gragas is a boring one. Who else? Who was the wet noodle king up topside? Maybe
I think it was just Sion Cassante.
Yeah, but before Cassante, those were the good old days. Remember when Cassante wasn't in League of Legends? Do you remember those good old days? Like, yeah, he's better than watching Zerayumi for sure. He definitely needs a nerf. But remember when Cassante wasn't in League of Legends? Those were the days, man, where we just had tanks. Not tanks that do 1,000,001 damage. Not tanks that turn into budget Aurelia when they ulti. Those were the classics. But ignore me, Kitty, because for now, TP's coming through. Knight's trying to get mid lane pushed out because Dragon's up. This could be second Dragon for JDG, but you can see EDG kind of hungry for it as well as they move into position.
But just look at the vision control that JDG have already been able to plant through this Riverside, as Kanavi coming in with the Umbral Glaive first item. Even 369 rotating first. He does have the TP available as well, but he is going to stop this push in the mid lane, while Ala is going to struggle to find any ward to even go there. So that's going to be 2 dragons going towards the side of JDG, and they're just happily scaling. You know how Bob Ross always says, happy little trees? This is just happy little scalers. As we have Aphelios, Nico, and Ornn for the side of JDG in this game too, as EDG, they're the ones that really want to play off Jiejie as engages, but he hasn't been able to find any angle so far.
I mean, it's been a slow, not a bleed out by EDG, but it is feeling like a slow burn, honestly, as JDG hold control in this game. They're going to get a Herald spawn mid too. That's more gold given over with turret plating as well. And that all goes to Kanavi. As 1k plus now is where they're sitting with the Umbral Glaive in Kanavi's inventory and a Serrated Dirk. They're invading once more. Kanavi trying to threaten with FoFo as good scout of the week. And that's going to help it out. Oh no! Chicken!
Raptor's been secured. Yeah.
It's when the Colonel lets one go and then brings it back in. It's just extra cruel. At least it goes down, but hey, Kanavi still continues taking away. That's the point you mentioned. Should be mentioned, rather. Ala just wants to plate. He's going to get knocked up. This is dangerous. Ala for the plate. Is it worth dying?
Way too overpushed.
God. Oh, at least he goes unstoppable. The all-out. Oh, not against the wall. Unlucky, sir. As JDG get another one with the cost of a plate for his life.
And JDG utilizing the fact that Ala was trying to look for those plates on this Cassante and punishes him for being overpushed, as I think THESNAKE, he is able to pick up a plate himself. But when you do talk about these fridge matchups we have in the top side, Cassante is usually the one that is able to pick up all those tower plates, and that's what makes him such an annoying champion to deal with. While on the other hand, you usually have champions like the Sion and Ornn being the receiving end.
Hang on, Zap going to be flashed away from. Good little trade here as EDG try and scare them. Mission successful. They won't get the kill, but they get double summoner out of rule. That might bite them later.
That's a dub. Rift Herald is spawning in 40 seconds. But we do have the Proto Belt being picked up by Knight in this game, at this 14-minute mark. But something else I wanted to highlight is that FoFo, he went with the Shattered Crown as that first item. So a bit of a defensive item coming into these team fights. So I'm not too sure if they have what it takes to challenge JDG just quite yet, especially when it comes to the damage department. Both Storm Razors picked up by the AD carries, but we'll have to wait and see, because we do have the Scuttle Crab secured for JDG as 369. He has that extra bit of tempo, TPing back. but we have the support moving first from missing, and he's just gonna secure that Rift Herald and probably plop it towards that top side.
Yeah, and again, just open things up. And we have to say, if we're talking about fights coming through, as Knight leads the charge.
Sneaky.
Okay, yeah, never mind. Nothing happens as the Snake gets a bit of a reset here. Got first turret. Surprising. They've just been whittling away at the bot lane turret. I was going to say, how do you get Herald when Knight's so strong? And I guess the answer is you don't, Kitty. You leave it and you focus on bot lane, which has been happening in the 2v2. The Snake has had a pretty decent laning phase and once again has actually come out in a decent position.
Yeah, I feel like the Snake is having a pretty good early game on this Jinx so far. Even in game 1, he had a pretty decent performance, but the question is, once you do reach those major fights in the 5v5s, it's going to be quite the heavy task to handle. How much HP did that shred of 369, that Jinx ultimate, like 50?
Yeah, 30, 50, yeah, something like that.
5.
Or, yeah, literally nothing. I mean, 369 doesn't feel any pain. He's able to pick up some turret plating topside. That's why he's got so much gold. And again, an item advantage, by the way. I spawn on the other side. Sunfire first early, but the Giant's belt here for 369. And you can just see this Ornn pick might have to start getting more respect in games. I mean, he's had it a couple of times now. And I feel like 369, we're about to see why he's such a good team fighter as Kanavi misses out on the Void Spike, unfortunately. And we're just going to wait till Dragon because, okay, we chill. Nothing else happens on the map. It is a slow early game. Look at that man. Mighty bushy moustache. He's going to join us down in about 40 seconds, Kitty. Even without TP, might get this next wave, sync up with the rest of the team, walk down because this will be third Dragon for JDG. You can see that EDG do not want to give them soul point.
Yeah, we do have EDG having first move on this third Dragon, as Knight did have to come out of base, but the question is EDG going to set up correct vision to play around the potential flank angles that Knight might have? I mean, you have to be super attentive with this wave. He's a melee creep, guys.
Will we ever know? It's so bulky. Scat of the week, that minion can kite. Still gets it. Pop Blossom up as well. It's not that they fell for it, but maybe it was a bait. As he goes golden, the rocket not hit as Cleanse comes out. The Snake now can DPS freely. Watch this Jinx in the backline as Knight goes into stasis, but rather the bailout doesn't get him going. The Snake is excited, but does he have the damage? That's the question. 369 is blocked out by the Brom, but the Snake is frontlining. Again, what a pain he is to deal with as JDG are relentless.
And the game explodes to that single mechanic once again. EDG didn't count the melee minions in that wave, catching FoFo off guard, even though having that flash available and all spells committed onto this Syndra. But in the very end, it's not the Syndra dying, it's EDG's entire roster dying for FoFo's mistakes as they secure this Dragon Soul point.
Replay time. Oh, from base. Yeah,
walking.
I mean, again, Kitty, the minion kited, so I think they had an idea. Look, you don't scatter the weak a minion. They definitely do.
I also want to highlight missing. I think he got a full-man ultimate on this Renato, so that was absolutely huge for JDG and Kanavi. He was just waiting for Jiejie to go in and then finish the deal, but although being there first, he doesn't offer as much compared to someone like 369 that has the ultimate available, displacing the Snake in this team fight as flashes get committed. Yeah, Ward's move. I think Ward's move. What do you think?
I don't know, man. Knight, what is he doing? Just chilling. Leave it there, Knight. Enemy can see it, right? Surely. Or is he invisible? How does sight wards work? Okay, we're never going to find out, are we? Because I know control wards, obviously they're visible, but you can't just be a Teemo, you know, because you turn into a ward. Surely not.
What if you're aware that the ward is well under vision for EDG, but he's just T-posing on the enemy team? That ward was Giga Chad T-posing energy, to say the least. But the Rift Herald is going to eventually get dropped in the top side as we have both the support and the jungle hovering. I don't think Jiejie has an angle to ever engage because of Knight's ultimate ability.
Yoink. Okay, he's still going to ult in, but missing again. Hostile take over with the Pop Blossom as well, but no one else. Missing can only help and watch, and guess in the end, Knight can only die for the turret. EDG will still get a pick.
Bit of an overplay from Knight as he only had missing kind of surrounding you while EDG committed 4 members. But the Snake's a little bit caught out of position. I think he should be fine, but he has no rotation towards his mid lane, and that's 2 towers for Ruler.
Kanavi is the most impactful competitive Kha'Zix I have seen in a while. Kitty, we have seen Kha'Zix like, yeah, maybe get a pick here and there, but Kanavi is exerting pressure. 60 CS up here, now Yoma's ghost played. Kanavi doesn't have to get the kills, he just has to be in position. Threat, okay, smite. We almost lose blue buff. We get it for FoFo, but he's still in our faces. Exerting that pressure I talked about. Kanavi's with the bounty as well, and for good reason. He's so far ahead of the enemy jungle, and I feel like right now he is the gold lead for JDG, or at least a big part of it.
It's kind of insane to think that Kanavi and Missing were the only members invading that topside jungle, while EDG, they had Ala coming from the bottom side, 3 people already being there, but they were too scared to pull the trigger. And I think that is one of EDG's biggest critiques, is that they are a very slow team and they're very hesitant in making those proactive plays, especially given something like the Vi and the Syndra, where you have great setup to make those picks but not getting utilized to its full potential. They are just slowly matching this scaling ability from JDG.
At least trying, I mean, but we're a far way off from EDG having the damage they need. Kitty, the Snake, I think he's at 2 and a bit items. We'll wait until our little dancing man that no one else can see, unfortunately, disappears. Yep, Stormrazor is there with Gale Force. We're going to get to a third shortly. I guess Jiejie just playing with fire, as that was a fake back from Knight on the Meiko. But I mentioned as, okay, again, another fake. The EDG might not have the damage. They still want to walk in, Kitty, because Baron's sitting there waiting. And look at JDG exerting pressure. No wards left behind.
Yeah, they are just protecting their vision for this Baron, but we all have to remember that Dragon's Soul is going to be spawning in 1 minute. They are just kind of playing with the idea of Baron for now, but I would be very surprised if they decide to flip this, as that's one of the ways that EDG can come back into this game state with a 3k goalie. Not the biggest, Ruler.
Oh, bad timing.
What is that,
Knight is teleporting out of there. Ruler's caught out. The hostile takeover buys time, but we ain't taken over. Ruler going into the bailout, but Ala's found him. This timing hurt JDG so much as EDG get another one in the back line. Ala gonna die in the end though, Missing lucky to get out, but Knight had to walk all the way up. EDG pinpoint precision.
And Knight, he is regretting his choices right now, hoping that he could cancel that TP as Ruler got engaged right in front of his face. However, we do have a massive CC coming out of this Meiko, still available, and the jungler is still alive.
Missing doesn't have anything available. If FoFo hits him once, he is dead. That'll be another one to bite the dust. And I ain't talking about Queen, is now trying to fake it out. Kanavi wants to steal. Level 13 on the Kha'Zix. Scatter the Weak not connecting from FoFo. EDG just don't have the guts, don't have the damage right now to hit that Baron. And JDG at the very least will find some kind of respite. But Kitty, having said that, they might even get more.
Look at Baron.
They'll find the dragon. I mean, yeah, Baron is being done, so they'll have to walk away. EDG double take it.
But Kanavi's still alive, so it is a 50-50 flip. 369 doesn't have that TP available. I think they have to just 50-50 burger flip.
Oh god, Knight gets a pop blossom as well. Never mind. Was it a good move? Wait, Knight is dead. 369 jumps on in. Orn. Well, Kanavi over the wall. 2.8k, 2.5. It's going to be 50-50. In they go. Try to burst it down. Scatter the leak. Oh, FoFo gets it. Up they go. Baron is taken. JDG find 2 off the back as the enhanced recalls. They're trying to get out of there. And EDG will with 3 members alive. FoFo is psychotic.
How does FoFo get the Baron when you're contesting an isolation from Kha'Zix with that Q and the smite available and your own smite as well? But JDG having the numbers advantage, they're going to start this dragon, and I don't think EDG can contest it.
Well, look, they are coming in regardless. Might be up to FoFo yet again. He has flash available, so he can play aggressive into the dragon. It's taken. Meiko now in a bad position as he tries to hold out of there, but the wall is the wrong way. FoFo flashes eventually, but here he comes again. 369 just breathes fire on them. That's super hot fire for you as JDG get Soul, take a Baron out of the equation. Now we have to see if the call was really worth it in the end.
Look, as an Australian, that was the correct direction of that Brom shield, as it was just protecting his own teammates. But once again, I don't think EDG had the conditions to fight for that dragon, but we have to take a look at this Baron. Knight engages first, getting it onto 3 people, but exhaust from the support of EDG just stops that burst damage from happening. And of course, Ruler ulting Meiko once again, taking a lot of that damage. But FoFo being the one that secures this Baron is absolutely insane to think about. With that Scatter of the Week, like you said, it was 1,100 HP, but having the position to rotate first, JDG go to secure that Dragon Soul, which is Chemtech, and having a Renata, I'm pretty happy about that.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Again, Renata just kind of gives you a double window into it. JDG still with the gold lead. They've got the Soul, but EDG with the Baron, at least they're able to claw something back. But Kitty, I have to say, with this Baron, you would hope that EDG at least can aggress for a turret, because they've only picked up one in the bottom side. They've got an outer mid, outer top. There's so much standing gold, but EDG need to find a way to approach it. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to find much from this Baron power play. Ignore me for the time being, Arla. Almost knocked into oblivion. 369 aggressive. This has almost got the ulti available, but has to worry about the Brom. They're still going to ARAM for a bit, but Kitty, that just means JDG feel confident to stay here.
It's so hard to siege as the side of EDG, as JDG, they just have that wave clear, and of course 369 being there as well. I don't think they have what it takes to contest for this tower in the mid lane, and they're just slowly wasting this Baron. But if you look at EDG's composition, well, they kind of do have to look for those 5v5s. I think Ala can go for those side waves, but he's not the one with the Baron buff. It's Meiko and the Snake, as FoFo got caught out earlier. So I think this Baron, although they got it and it did have create a bit of a shift in gold, it's not going to result in too much as JDG hold down their forts.
And we have to remember that it is even easier for JDG to hold down their forts because they have the Ornn. We've got Youmuu's Wake here for Kanavi as 3 items and a bit. This guy is so fast. Also, of course, you got to look at Ornn upgrading his own item as Primordial Dawn, now complete there too. So a couple of Ornn items, but he's only level 14. Wait till next, until we get our next upgrade too. You'd have to think Meiko should be next on the menu with an upgraded Aero Pack that Knight should be able to harvest. As ignore me getting on Ornn's names because EDG have just picked up a turret, and that's even post Baron. So gold back into them.
I think the next big point is going to be these major objectives. Baron 2 minutes and Elder Dragon also 2, but I think most teams would prefer to have that Elder. Jiejie's caught out of position.
Oh, he is, and half HP as well. Ruler unable to finish the job. Ulti from Meiko is great as Jiejie has to flee. 369 though, getting the Searing Charge, Bellows Breath, and Ornn stuff happening. That's a pullback as Jiejie may have just lost the game, or at least led to more gold for JDG.
And not having those 2 mid towers available in the mid lane just allows for so many flank angles for JDG to go for. And that is one of their best qualities as a team, where they're able to find those angles and catch EDG off guard. And now, numbers advantage, they're going to force at least an inhibitor in this mid lane.
Kanavi's angle though, I mean, he's got flash, he doesn't have ulti, but still he can leap in, probably destroy someone. Thankfully, you got Crown of the Shattered Queen, otherwise FoFo would be in one-shot territory. Inhibitor now threatened, but JDG can't just walk in as easy as that. Because FoFo always a threat of a pick with Jiejie by his side. They'll hold on, they'll keep the inhibitor up. But Kitty, if this happens again, if we see another onslaught, it's Baron next time. It's Elder that JDG can pivot to. They're still in a great position here in this game.
And I want to highlight, look at the vision control that JDG has been able to plant in that bottom side. JDG Knight, he has that TP available, so most of these teams, they would much prefer to go towards that Elder Dragon and trade it for the Baron, so they can't go for the Baron without the Elder Dragon being contested, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
I will not yield. Arla just walks the other way. Good scout of the week. It isn't Ornn though, so that's not going to do too much. I like that EDG are out here, Kitty, but hey, we got to look at what's happening on the other side of the map. Top wave is gangstering on in. Bottom wave is being crewed up. Like, Knight is literally getting the boys. And so that has to be matched here by EDG. They can't keep this onslaught, and they can't find out a turret yet again through mid.
Yeah, but we also have to highlight all these items coming online, but the difference is that we have a stopwatch available for Ruler, while on the other hand, we have 2 stopwatches available for the mid jungle of EDG. We have everyone positioning towards this top side. I don't think EDG is going to rush this because it's a 50-50.
Oh, they found Kanavi. They found Kanavi. Have
He's
they
out.
found Kanavi? Question mark. The Snake wasn't able to land that big death rocket as FoFo flashed and ultied for that too. Kitty, EDG used a little bit, but Kanavi's able to heal up thanks to the fruit on the side. Now EDG are at a disadvantage.
And Elder Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, everyone. And we are about to have absolute chaos ensue for both of these teams. But EDG now not having the position to move on to this Baron.
They do not too much damage. There's a little bit for a love tap or two on the 369. As Jiejie's one angling in the side brush. But look, ping's already going down.
Oh my god.
Members that do it so fast, they can hover over both, Kitty.
They're going extra greedy. They're going to do both Elder and Fighter for this Baron, denying everything away from EDG as they don't know that JDG is starting the Elder Dragon right now.
I mean, they're walking towards it. Pings are going down, but if EDG decide to get Baron, Elder is for sure gone for the team that loves to fight right now, Kitty. JDG feeling so confident as they hover because Elder's just been done. Thank you so much. Let's fight. 369 trying to rummage in as EDG now getting hovered from a different angle. It's onto Arla. Tangle Barb is there. He can't find the mark. In fact, it is K'Sante to disable it, but EDG now, they're like, well, we can't do a 5v5 in front of Baron. JDG with the 5-head macro will get both objectives.
An indecision is a decision in itself as EDG, they give away both Elder and the Baron to this team. I don't know how they come back to this point. It's going to be absolutely insane if they can come back.
369 just flashed. I don't know if that was prompted, but I think he just flashed over the wall. Hey, he doesn't need it. Hey, good news though. Upgraded aero pack. Knight can now fly higher. He's got his upgrade. We've already got the Typhoon for the bottom lane. What happened? Oh no, he flashed away. Ignore me. I thought he flashed over the wall just to get the Demolish proc.
EDG, they haven't been able to find the pick that they so desperately needed. We thought it was onto Kanavi, but him having that Edge of Night is going to protect him, and especially with FoFo having that Scatter of the Crown, not enough damage to just one-shot this Kha'Zix, and he is an absolute menace this game. We have seen some picks, or at least opportunities given over to EDG, but that's not enough. As you can see, just looking at the map state, no towers whatsoever available for the side of EDG, so they have to play within their base.
Sad, isn't it? Oh, Knight.
Okay, buddy, that's a bit...
Not suspicious. He's dancing. Oh, wiggling cameraman. Get us closer up, baby. Knight's having a good time. There's a smile on his face. And you'd have to think, where is that blue buff? It's a shame he's gone back to being Kha'Zix, but what can you do? I guess you got to finish the game.
Why not just full send it? The 6th member of JDG sub the blue buff.
Yeah, that blue buff, not suspicious. Obviously, just a bug in the game. And EDG try and pause for it as, hey, double inhibitor. Just like that. Elder, Baron, you can't fight this team. It's going to be a 10k gold lead. But is gold even relevant as JDG try to push in with minions cataclysmic
They're looking to end.
Effort. They will. Because right now, EDG need to find a fight. It's up to them, Kitty. Knight not going to be scattered the weak. There's Shirelia's jumping in yet again. Ruler doesn't care. Elder is going to hurt. JDG, I think they've just run out of it. However, though, here's the engage from EDG, the last stand effort. But oh my god, everyone's in! Once again, JDG are cleaners in perfection. The Snake's debut disregarded, and our MSI champions walk through another top team in under 1 hour. 2-0. Welcome home, boys.
And that's the JDG we all know and love as they take those 2 games away with ease by securing this 2-0. But like we've been saying, these champions, once you give JDG an angle, they will take an inch to a mile. But I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out tonight. After getting an insane pop blossom to the enemy team, he transformed into a ward.
He did. Did he?
Yep.
Oh, I thought you meant before, but of course he did at the end. I had to. Definitely had to. What a fitting way to end it all as well. I mean, Knight had so much fun on Meiko. You could see him smiling. Absolutely love it. As for